I have 4 more just like it. Not all girls though.
They're not flies, those leaves.
Yeah, one of the ladies got stuck. Shabbat shalom, ladies.
Shabbat shalom.
It is pleasant, not surprise, just pleasant to see new faces. And it's humbling and honor to be able to stand before you all this morning and give you this lesson. We are in, I'll let some more of the ladies come up. Yeah, I did it. I was obedient. Want me to turn you around? Please? Okay, so that says record. Okay. I don't have my glasses. Okay. So we'll give the ladies a few more minutes to come up. So I'm going to get ahead of myself. We're in Yahoshua or Joshua. We're going to be in 9. And what we're doing is... Huh? You can't hear me? Did I get the kids?
You say something over the mic.
Okay. And I didn't. Because I just, I'm just a Jamaican, so I don't got many duties. I don't know. I don't know if everybody... Okay, so Shabbat Shalom, family. 11 o'clock, all of the classes will begin to start. So we have Hulda and Valeria over here with the children. So the children will be over here under the tree. The men are at the fire pit this morning. We'll be doing the men's Shabbat studies at the fire pit. And the children under the tree and the ladies right here under the pavilion.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Yeah, see, I don't know what be going on. I just
be showing up.
I just get told, I get voluntold and I do it. Voluntold and I do it. And then I just do it. And I'm grateful that God can still use me with my hard-headed self sometimes. Yes. So we'll let everybody get situated and then we'll pray and we will start this lesson. Yes. Yes. They're right here in the front. So they're up here with Sister Yolanda.
Anybody else?
Better hold on to my stuff.
Anybody else?
Who's the baby? No.
Ain't no
No, ain't no shalom today.
Ain't shalom.
It's the Shabbat, whether you like it or not. But if you don't have no shalom, that's all right. It'll come. I be grumpy too sometimes.
You doing this?
Yeah, my turn. I'm on. Yes. 1, 2, 3. 1. 1. I think I'm loud. Can you ladies hear me? We good? One. Okay. So down just a little bit. That's good. I think that's good. Okay.
Oh, I'm just gonna sit right here. Because I don't want to be in front of them. I know.
One's supposed to be just one of these. Our enemy knows who we are. I just want to make sure someone's there. Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to be in front of y'all again.
Anyone else?
Yeah, right here.
There's one here too.
Oh, I get them.
Okay, so in the I'm gonna disclaimer. Thank you, Sister Yolanda. On the introduction.
You got to do this. I know. I can't find it.
You gotta get up.
No. I wouldn't know. You said something about your flip-flop. Now look, that's the only reason why I know.
Is that an outline? Is that an outline?
Right. So on the introduction, there is a who's and a who.
Now you went lower.
Yeah, I got
you.
Okay, there's a who's and a who. X out the who's so we don't get confused. And then two, it should be to your king. But hey, I'm typing in a Sukkot. So.
Number 2 is what?
One on the bottom, the last one, because the last sentence it says that those that are your enemies will bow. And it's just a T, but it should be two.
Okay.
Yes. All right. It is awesome again to see you ladies. I'm humbled. We're going to open in prayer, and then we'll jump in. We don't have a time limit. We just, when we get to the end of this lesson, we'll know. So we'll be able to Q&A. I'll be able to answer a few of your questions. If you have something that you found inspiring in the text, or you see something I didn't see when we're done, go ahead and fill it in. I'm just a facilitator, so we are all walking through learning. I don't know everything. I get what the Father reveals to me, and I give what He's told me to give to you. And hey, when He reveals something to you, share it, because we're here to eat, right? We're feasting, right? This is the feast. So we're here to glean from one another. We're here to engage one another. We're here to enlighten what the Father has given us. I'm not special. I'm not here. I just have decided to be obedient, and so I'm available. And so that's why I'm teaching. So we'll just open in prayer. Yahuwah, Elohim, we just thank you for your Shabbat. We thank you for today. As I stand here, I am completely humbled, and I am just amazed again that you would allow your words to come through me. But as I have said before, I'm your vessel, so use me. Father, I thank you for the women and for the children and for everybody that is here who has decided to be obedient and to come into fellowship, Father, and to receive what it is you have for them. I ask that you would illuminate their hearts and minds, that any distractions or any doubts that they've had before they trekked this way or before they even started to come, Father, that you would remove them and that you would allow them to see what it is they've come this far for. Father, I pray that you would take your word and empty me and use me to speak what it is you have to say in this lesson, Father. Father, I thank you for waking us up and allowing us to know who we are and whose we are. And so I ask that as we go through your word, Father, that we will remember that we've been given authority. You've made a nation of us, Father, and I just thank you for assembling us back together to learn more about who you are and how to please you, Father. We thank you and we love you. In Yahoshua's name.
Hallelujah.
So,
we are in Yahushua or Yahoshua, Joshua, and it's 9. And this is just where we are regularly in our Shabbat school class with our women. So we have been going through the script. We started in Genesis, and we are, 3 years in? We've started from Genesis, and now we are here in Yahushua. We've been even studying the Word line by line, comma by comma, chapter by chapter, verse by verse, one word at a time. Look some stuff up. If we didn't get clarity the week before, we stay there. The next week, we don't just rush through, because we want to get this right. And we know that we had it wrong. And so we know also that He's awakened us. We know that everything comes back full circle. And so He's awakened us. And the first thing we need to do is know how to keep a relationship right. So we do what our Father has said to do. So we're going back and we're learning. The wind is blowing. So, as you know, how we've arrived here in Yahoshua or Joshua, we were freed from Mizraim or Egyptian bondage. When we got out of there, we got to a place where we were given commandments, and he said, Moshe gave the commandments, or the decree, the law, and he said, all that you say we will do. And our ancestors said, yeah. But first and foremost, they came under a covenant when they put that blood over the door. Before they could get out of Egypt, when the plagues came, when the death angel was coming. So we came out of Egypt under covenant. So how we arrived to the place we are now is, and Joshua, you know that as we were let out, we got out under covenant and we got the laws. We said, yeah, everything you said we're going to do. And that was a covenant. When you agree, because, and I'm just going to give you an overview of where we walked from. You are not required to adhere to a covenant. You don't have to go into covenant. You could have been just like the other nations, all the other nations before that were conquered, but all the other nations, you could be just like those nations. You don't have to agree to terms, right? When we sign a contract, when you go, you like a car, you see the car, test drive the car, because all these people benefited from coming out from under the, out of Mizraim, under the covenant of the blood. They didn't have to. They didn't have to say, you know, we're going to do what you said. They could have went back. You could have go your way. But when you say that, y'all, you know, everything you said, I'm going to do it, you enter into covenant. You don't have to enter into covenant, but as well as we all know, it rains on the just as well as the unjust. So you'll still breathe, you'll live, but then there's a final judgment, right? Okay, so our people said, yeah, and then get out in the wilderness and cut up. And so Joshua or Yahushua and Caleb are the only two, remember, that were able to go into the promised land, because everybody else had to die. They had to go. It's like, you know what? They even made the Moshe, who was the most humble man on the earth at the time, disobey. He tapped the rock twice, and he missed his blessing. So, you know, Israelites is tough, right? Hard head, stiff neck, cold, missed getting into the promised land. So, where we are now is, I'm going to go to 1 because it always just does something to me. So where we are now is, we know that Moshe had passed over. He died. It says, now after the death, and I'm just reading 1, of the servant Moshe, Yahweh, it came to pass, the servant of Yahweh, it came to pass that Yahweh spoke to Yahushua, the son of Nun, Moshe's minister, saying, Moshe, my servant, is dead. Now therefore go arise, go over the Jordan, you and all this people into the land which I do give to them, even the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given to you, as I said unto Moshe. From the wilderness and this Lebanon, even into the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea toward the going down of the sun shall be your coast. there shall not be any man able to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moshe, so I will be with you.
Where are you reading?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading 1 right now. Chapter 1. Yahoshua chapter 1. No. Okay, this is chapter 1, and this is just the intro to the intro. He tells them, there will not be any man, he tells Yahushua, there will not be any man able to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moshe, so I will be with you. I will not fail you, nor forsake you. Be strong and of good courage. For unto this people shall you divide for an inheritance the land which I swore unto their fathers to give them. Only be strong and courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the Torah which Moshe my servant commanded you. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper whithersoever you go. Whithersoever you go. This sefer of the Torah shall not depart out of your mouth, but you shall meditate therein day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then you shall make your way prosperous. For then you shall make your way prosperous. And then you shall have good success. And then you shall have good success. Have I not commanded you? That's a question. What's the command? Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be dismayed, for Yahweh your Elohim is with you whithersoever you go. So this is 1. This is after Moshe died. Everywhere that the sole of your foot touches is yours. I have given it to you, as I did before. Only him and Caleb now are able to go in. So we see in 7, the children committed a trespass and the cursed thing of Achan, and they were wondering why they was losing the fight. Then they found out it was sin in the camp. When they found out it was sin in the camp, they quickly corrected it. And then we go over here to 8. We go over here to 8. I'm just giving you brief synopsis so that you kind of aren't as lost. Because I said we've been going through 1 all the way through, so we're in 9. And then he says again, after all of that, they got rid of Achan and his family. Achan's sin caused his whole family to have to perish with him. And we talked about that a couple weeks ago. And then in 8, so no, that's 7. So that was 7, sorry. 8, again, after we got that right, consecrated themselves again. And so Yahweh tells him now, hey, now fear not, neither be dismayed. Take all the people of war with you, go arise and go to Ai, and see, I have given into your hand the king. And he tells him what to do. He says, then seize the city, and Elohim will deliver you. Deliver it unto you. So we get here to 9. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to read the last part of 8. The last part of 8, yes, I'm going to read the last part of 8. That really just, whoo. So, when he told them to go into cities, and this is just opening up for where we're going, this is what he tells them, and then we'll go more into it, but he tells them when you go, so, he says, for Yahushua drew not his hand back, whithersoever he stretched out his spear, until he had utterly destroyed all the inhabitants of Ai. Only the cattle and the spoil of that city Israel took for a prey unto themselves, according unto the word of Yahweh, which he commanded. Okay, we're fighting a little bit with the pages, but I'm gonna get a system going where I'm flipping through. And Yahushua burnt Ai and made it a heap forever, even a desolation unto this day. And the king of Ai he hanged on a tree until eventide. And as soon as the sun was down, Yahoshua commanded that they should take his carcass down from the tree, and this is in the 8, and at the entering of the gate in the city, and raised thereon a great heap of stones that remained unto this day. Then Yahoshua built an altar unto Yahweh Elohim of Israel in Mount Ebal, as Moshe the servant of Yahweh commanded the children of Israel. And it is written in the Sefer of the Torah of Moshe, an altar of whole stones over which no man has lifted any iron. And they offered therein burnt offerings unto Yahweh and sacrificed peace offerings. And he wrote there on the stones a copy of the Torah of Moshe, which he wrote in the presence of the children of Israel. And all Israel and their elders and officers and their judges stood on this side of the ark, and the others and that side before the priests and the Levites, which bore the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, and as well the stranger as he that was born among them, half of them over against Mount Gerizim, and half of them over against Ebal, as Moshe the servant of Yahweh had commanded before that they should bless the people of Israel. And afterward he read all the words of Torah, the blessings and cursings, according to all that is written in the Sefer of the Torah. There was not a word of all that Moshe commanded. I gotta read that again. There was not a word of all that Moshe commanded, which Yahoshua read not before all the congregation of Israel, with the women and the little ones and the strangers that were conversant among them, or spending time in that place with them. So, all of the words, he didn't get rid of that, okay? So, we got, that just kind of gets rid of, again, that Old Testament thing is done away with. It's not done away with. Okay. I'm gonna make this happen like this to get this together, because my age is gonna kick in and I'll be all over the place trying to get it. There we go. Thank you. So I'm just creating a diversion for myself. Okay, that works. Man, I'm up here working too hard. So, now we're in chapter 9. And so that was just a brief overview to get us to where we are now. So chapter 9. And so now you just won't feel as lost. And it came to pass, when all the kings were on this side of the Jordan, in the hills, and in the valleys, and in all the coasts of the great sea over against Lebanon, the Hittites, and the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites heard thereof, that they gathered themselves together to fight with Yahoshua and with Israel with one accord. And when the inhabitants of Gibeon heard that Yahoshua had done what he had done unto Jericho and to Ai, they did work willingly, and went and made as if they had been ambassadors, and took old sacks upon their asses, and wine bottles, old and rent and bound up, and old shoes, and clouded upon their feet, and old garments upon them, and all the bread of their provision was dry and moldy. And they went to Yahoshua unto the camp of Gilgal, and said unto him and to the men of Israel, We be come from a far country. Now therefore make ye a league with us. And the men of Israel said unto the Hivites, Peradventure ye dwelling among us, and how shall we make a league with you? And they said unto Yahoshua, We are your servants. And Yahoshua said unto them, Who are ye? And from whence ye come? And they said unto him, From a very far country your servant are come because of the name of Yahweh, your Elohim. For we have heard the fame of him, and all that he did in Egypt, and that all that he did to the 2 kings of the Amorites that were beyond Jordan, to Sihon, king of Heshbon, and to Og, king of Bashan, which was at Ashtaroth. Wherefore our elders and all the inhabitants of our country spoke to us, saying, Take victuals with you for the journey, and go to meet them, and say unto them, Who are your servants therefore? Now make ye a league with us, Okay. Now I'm lost because I barely can see. Okay. Take victuals and go meet them, and say unto them, we are your servants, therefore. Now make ye a league with us. This our bread we took hot for our provision out of our house on the day we came forth to go out with you. Now behold, it is dry, and it is moldy, and these bottles of wine which we filled were new, and behold, they are rent. And these our garments and our shoes are become old by reason of the very long journey. And the men took of their victuals, and asked not counsel at the mouth of Yah. And Yahoshua made peace with them, and made a league with them, and let them live. And the princes of the congregation swore unto them. And it came to pass at the end of 3 days, after they had made a league with them, that they heard they were their neighbors, and that they dwelt among them. And the children of Israel journeyed and came unto their cities on the 3rd day. Now their cities were Gibeon and Sephirah, and Beeroth, and Kirjah, Jeroim, mine says. And the children of Israel smote them not, because the princes of the congregation had sworn unto them by Yah, their Elohim of Israel. And all the congregation murmured against the princes. And all the princes said unto the congregation, we have sworn unto them by Yahweh our Elohim of Israel. Now therefore we may not touch them. We will not do to them because of the oath we swore unto them. And the princes said unto them, let them live, but let them be hewers of wood and drawers of water unto all the congregation, as the princes had promised them. And Yahoshua called for them, and he spoke unto them, saying, wherefore have ye beguiled us, saying, you were from far away, when ye dwelt among us? Now therefore ye are cursed, and there shall none of you be freed from being bondsmen, and hewers of wood, and drawers of water for the house of my Elohim. And they answered Yahoshua and said, because it was certainly told your servant how Yah your Elohim commanded his servant Moshe to give you all the land, and to destroy all the inhabitants of the land from before you. Therefore we were sore afraid for our lives because of you, and have done this thing. And now behold, we are in your hands, as it seems good and right unto you to do unto us. And so did he unto them, and delivered them out of the hand of the children of Israel, that they slew them not. And Yahoshua made them that day hewers of wood and drawers of water for the congregation, for the altar of Yah, even unto this day, in the place which he should choose. Okay, that was long. But in this chapter, you've seen that already, because I've had the correction. So we're going to observe the cities that Yah had already delivered unto the children of Israel. We will witness even how during our victories we must be mindful that we don't end up beguiled by our enemy. And we will witness what happens when we make pledges without first seeking counsel from Yah. And last, we will witness how our enemies know who we are, and that even those that are your enemies will bow to your king. So, as you see in the beginning, in the first part, I'll start on point 1, because I did the introduction already. The Gibeonites' plan. So their plan was to deceive, or deception, because I went over this text like 4 or 5 times. I'm like, okay, I don't get it though. I'm confused. So I read all those other chapters to open up where we are now. So when he commanded them to go in, and the lands that they were giving them, he had already given Israel, the Hivites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, all of those people. So I asked myself, I'm like, who are these people? Like, where? Okay, so if he's given them the land, where are they coming from? The fame had gone far and wide about who the Israelites were and what they were coming to do. So it made me go look, and I'm like, okay, that's where somebody get Exodus 23 and 32. Somebody get Deuteronomy 7:2, and somebody get Deuteronomy 34:12, and whoever has it, you can read each one. 23:32? Oh no, which one are you reading?
That's 23:32.
Okay.
Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor with their gods.
Somebody have Deuteronomy 7:2?
And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them.
Okay. And Deuteronomy 34:12.
And for all that strong hand and all the great fearsome deeds which Moshe did before the eyes of all Israel.
So, they know, the enemy knew we do everything, we have rules and a law for everything. When Yah made a nation out of us, first he makes us his people, and then he establishes government. So when he established government, he told us how we were supposed to engage with others when we go into war. So we know this land of Canaan, why were they being conquered anyway? Why had Yah given them the land to the Israelites? Does anybody know? He promised it to them, but what had happened where he said,
They were really lawless. And they were like drinking blood and stuff, and they were like really, they were just kind of wicked. They were sacrificing their children, and
so it said that their abominations or the stench of everything that they had been doing in this land had finally reached the nostrils of Yah. And it says, okay, that's why I said we don't have to enter into covenant, because you do it agreeably, because to enter into a covenant with somebody, he says, I know your character, I know who you are, I know how you roll, so I'm rolling with you. So these people had, that would have to be one of mine, huh? These people knew the character of Yah. They chose to do what they wanted to do. And eventually what happened is, like he said with the Israelites, if you go into the land and commit abominations, the land will vomit you out at the hand of at me saying so. So that's what is happening. So this land didn't just, y'all say, okay, I just feel like how our oppressors do. I like their land. They got everything over there. We're just going to go on over there and just take it. No. Their abominations had reached heaven, so it was time to go. This land got everything in it. My people, who I've called, I want them to have the best. I'm going to give them the best. But y'all got to go. So, and it's funny, it's like, you're like how a kid, you know what you're doing wrong. You know eventually you're going to get a whooping, but ain't nobody said nothing yet. So I'm going to keep doing it. So that's what had been happening. They knew. They knew about Yah. They knew what had happened in Mizraim. They knew they knew him. They knew him. They knew Torah. They knew Torah so well that they came and beguiled the person who was in command, who was Moshe, who had been given the same portion of strength and understanding and everything as Moshe. They knew it so well, they went and used it against him. Don't that sound like somebody? Somebody, he know Torah. He know Torah real good. He'll get you to make some covenants and to agree with some stuff because it looked like he mean well. You look at how he came. They rent their clothes, pack molded bread. The old wine casing or sack. And then before they even spoke with Yah about it or conversed with him, what did they do? Made a covenant. Because it just looked right. Well, they came from far away. Well, who are you? Oh, we heard about. Still hadn't told them who they were. Did they tell them? Right here it didn't say he told them. And so, when I'm facilitating, I like to always remind you, when you see things in the Word, they here for clues. Those names is hard to pronounce. Like, I'm just going to read over that. I ain't going to read that. I can't even say it, so that don't matter. But they're there for a reason. Those things are clues. The Word is a treasure. It is endless. It's deep. And those clues are there for a reason. They might have changed the names on the map. They may have changed the name of the people, but they still who they are. So guess what you do? You go back and you research. We live in a time where everything is one click away. Then another click. And then when you can't find that click, they have a library and they have encyclopedias. And they have ones that have been revised. And go back and look and see, well, who are these people? Who are the Hivites? Because that's what I just was in there doing last night. That's why I was really just like kind of wrestling. I was like, okay, y'all, you know what? I will research forever and I'll have too much stuff. Just do what you want me to, just do what you would have me to do. So who are these people? Well, they were all inhabitants of a place in Palestine, the other side of the river, of the ocean. And so that's what it says. It says these people on the other side. And they had high walls. So they built these big old tall walls because, you know, I'm going to put these walls up because can't nobody see what we're doing. And then if they don't like what we're doing, they can't do nothing about it. But we know who can see it. Yeah. And so their hearts were still hard, but they going to trick their way in. They going to fight us because we going to, you know, we going to get them to go ahead and just make a covenant with us. But we know they're not supposed to make a covenant, but we know who their Elohim is. So once they make a covenant, they can't break it because they follow Torah. What'd that sound like? How many of us have been in situations or relationships where, but you're supposed to be a Hebrew, or you follow the Bible, you're supposed to, no, I'm not supposed to take anything somebody bring my way. I'm not supposed to, because you get it all the time. You ain't supposed to get mad at nobody, you're supposed to forgive them. Okay. I forgive them. I ain't got to let them in my camp, though. When they don't mean no well. Yeah, exactly. Forgive or not. So you see here where they made a covenant, a treaty, without even figuring out who these people were. And that's how we do a lot of times as women, especially. Somebody play on the heartstring or, oh, they look nice. Or, hey, clean. He say he want to come to Sabbath Shabbat. So he got a beard.
He looked like he following me.
He looked like he got a beard. That keychain might have been a tassel. No. So we do that too as women, and then we be in trouble. So then you invited the enemy into the camp, and they know the laws of war. So the law of war, or the rule of war was, you went to a city, and you go into a city and you first offer peace. And you can find this in Deuteronomy 20 and 10, or all of Deuteronomy 20. And I want to read it. Their sentence had already been, their judgment had already been established. Their sentence was already confirmed. There wasn't no going back on it. So they had to figure out a way to get around that because they knew they were dying. There was no, and you'll see why in a minute. So it says, when you go into battle with your enemies and you see horses and chariots and more people of you, Yah always tells us not to be afraid first, because it's our first inclination. You know, we're human, right? And so that adrenaline starts pumping, and you make some choices and decisions sometimes based on that chemical reaction. Like, okay, well, they look bigger, they got horses and chariots. I said, no, but I'm the Elohim of hosts and fighting with you. Right. So don't be afraid. Like, you know how mamas do. I remember with my kids. They're like, well, so big, hold that. It's funny, I'll share this. She don't mind. And she went to Gate school, so in school, she was at a magnet school, and it was a girl. So I'm like, she was coming home hungry. I'm like, what? You hungry every day? I was packing your lunch, and big old girl, but she was a big old little Russian girl. She was big too when I finally went to school. But she didn't want to tell me. I was like, well, why are you hungry? Come on, tell me you're hungry. And she was like, the girl would catch her and be like, I'm gonna take your lunch. And so she would take her lunch and do it stuff. She was like, no, I don't want no trouble. I said, I fight kids. You want me to come to school? I'm like, I'm come to school. She's like, no, mama, don't say nothing. So I said, okay, I ain't gonna say nothing. But I went to the office and got the situation handled. But it was a situation like that. So I said, no. You know what, this is too much. You just to get her. No, I said, I'm your mama, I'm standing right here, I ain't gonna let nobody hurt you, and you're gonna get her. So that kind of thing. So that's how Yah is with us. I'm stronger than you. I'm not supposed to let nobody do nothing to you. If they get you, I'm gonna get them. So I think they're gonna be more scared about me standing right here. They're gonna let you do it. So that's how Yah is with us. But they knew the rule or the law of war. And like I said, Yah established us, and when he established our nation, when he established us as a people, he gave us everything. He didn't miss nothing. And you'll see also how the ruler of this world and the people that are in place in office, how they use this too, but they distort it, just like our enemy. And you'll be able to, when we get later into the lesson, you'll see that how to identify certain things about your enemy. So he says, when you come into war, when you make war, when you go to war, and he says you come nigh into a city to fight against them, then proclaim peace unto it. We always come in peace first. So we come, if you give a person a chance to reconcile. Hey, okay, y'all coming to fight. And they knew it. They said, oh, we heard about Yah, your Elohim, and we were afraid because what he did in Mizraim, and so we lied. You don't have to lie. No, because the engagement of war was you came and you make peace before you fight. And it shall be, if they make peace, you answer. If it make you answer of peace and open unto you, then it shall be to all the people that is found wherein shall be tributaries unto you, and they shall serve you. So you go into a city to conquer. They don't want to fight. We're going to live in peace. Okay, then you guys serve us. You work for us. You fall under our law and our command, because it says, just like here, with the strangers, the people that we know they left out of Mizraim, a mixed multitude, right? They saw what Yah did and said, you know what? I ain't fighting with him. We're going to go on and we're going to be cool. And we're going to follow your laws. Because we have tributaries or tribunals, we have a law. You cut up in the camp, you out the camp. Or you might even get, like Maury say, brick shower, huh? Brick shower. Brick shower. Some stuff that was called for because you were not going to defile the land. Because the reason why we came and took the land was because you guys had been defiling it. And we don't want to end up like you guys. So that's what we do. You go, you offer peace. Okay, peace. We're going to live in peace. But as I stated earlier, we know that these people, the Hivites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, they all lived in the land of Canaan, which had been given to the children of Israel, which meant they all were supposed to perish because they never stopped doing what they were doing. They never stopped. You heard about it. You saw what happened to Jericho. You heard what happened to Ai. You came together. The other ones came together to fight, and they knew they was going to die anyway, so they just band with one heart, one mind. They're going to come and fight, and we just going to do what it do. But these people decided they wanted to live. Once their sentence was death, they had a death sentence. You wasn't gonna stop. They had to stop. So that's what was commanded of them. And he said that you make peace with them, and then Yah would deliver them into your hands, and you were to take the women and the children and the spoils of the enemies. And so that was the chapter 20. Kind of gives you the law of war. And so if you want to go in here in your free time, chapter 20, read it. You'll see what the law of war is, and you see that the other nations knew it. So the other nations knew what to do but weren't going to obey. They knew it. So he made a treaty with Israel after you were told to leave nothing alive in the city where Yah was taking you, and the cities that he was giving you. Why? Why did he say leave nothing alive?
Because they would they would almost encourage you. It would what's the word I want to use? Kind of like seduce them a little bit. Like, we could do this, and they could, like, kind of. You just would think that it would be okay because other people were doing it. It was very what's the word? One loves
Leviticus 11, it's already defiled. And what do we have a tendency to do? What's in us? We're sin nature, first of all. Yes. Worship under. We just have this thing in us where we covet. It just looked like they having so much fun. If it looked good, exactly. it just lit. Because that's my disclaimer. I have this. If it has some bling on it and glitter or stones, I like it. I'm like, I can be sure it can be like the most absurd looking whatever you've seen. And anybody else will pass it by, but it's like a little mouse to something shiny. I'm like, I might want that. And so we just have that. We have that in us where it's like, I know it don't look right. I know, but like we did in when we were walking, not following Torah, because I don't want to say, I want to really be careful about saying Christianity, because we had a conversation about that earlier, and I said, this foundation is still the foundation. It was laid, and I guess they put it here because this is the most level part of the camp where you can eat your food, and you slide this way and that way. This structure might be built wrong, but this foundation was the same. So you don't break the foundation. If the foundation's broken, you rebuild. But the foundation was the foundation. So you don't take and throw away the whole thing. So the building is here, and the building might get worn and old, or you might put something where it wasn't supposed to have been, or they might come and say, hey, this measurement off, you take the whole building down, but you build back on the foundation. So you don't go and you don't throw it all out. But we were taught, you can eat pigs. All you have to say is in Jesus' name. So we have that tendency to put a little something on it and make it all right. And that's what was going to happen if you let these people live. Well, we know Torah, and so we ain't going to just break it all the way. We're just going to say in Jesus' name or put some Jesus on. So we learned how to do witchcraft, because that's what it is. When you want to manipulate the order of operation, how many people are real good at math or not so good? I wasn't that wasn't my favorite subject. I love science and English and different things like that. But just math, because I always had the tendency to put this out of step wrong. I always end up with the wrong answer, but I started out right. I always started the same way he put it on the board. And so it wasn't until I went to college I had a math teacher, and he made me love math. I hated math. I mean, that was just, if I got a C in math, I was happy. I'm like, ooh, yeah, right. Okay. And, anything else, I'm like, I'm mad if I got a B but if I got a C in math, I was like, okay, I did it. Don't care. I'm not going to try to do anything better. Because it was that manipulating the order. So you manipulate the order operation, you end up with the wrong answer. And that's what we have the tendency to do. We always want to figure out a way to manipulate it, and it still ends up wrong. So that's what we were taught as we were walking in the church. We were taught to do things, even though they knew the whole word, we were taught to do things and manipulate it a little bit, and we were taught witchcraft. So we were really under spells, not following the formula at all. And so that's why he said, don't let nothing over there live when y'all go over there. I know y'all. I know you. I know you. Because you'll do it. I know, because I'm bad. I'm telling you, we'll do it. If I have an extra $1 sometime, I'm like, okay, no, I know I got to pay this. I'll pay this. I'm just going to pay half of that and buy this. And then the next month, I'm like, why is the bill still so high? It's like, oh, yeah. You know what you did. You want to not, yeah. So that kind of thing, you manipulate things, and then you pay for it later on. And you pay more than what you were willing to really pay. You got a late fee or it's just double. It's like, dang, okay, I should have just took care of that first. Do the first thing. I always tell people that I said, do the last thing first. Don't try to do that. We were looking at the whole thing with the whole shooting and all that stuff that happened in Las Vegas. And it says, oh, he killed all these people, and then when they got in there, he killed himself. I said, why he didn't do the last thing first? If you just felt like killing them, you wasn't going to do that in the first place. Why just do the last thing first? Sometimes just do the last thing first. Do what you're supposed to do first. That's what that was in your mind to do to yourself, right? Why did everybody else have to suffer? Like, what's going on here? So that's why he said, don't let anything.
Leave it down?
Yeah, please.
There you go.
Don't let anything live, because we have a tendency to get get some stank on us too. When we do. We just do. We want to tell the whole truth. It's certain people I don't, now in my walk, I don't interact with or even associate with, because there are things that it's always the person, and I don't know, some of you know this or whatever, it's always the person with the strongest personality ends up being the one that did it. And a lot of times I wasn't even there. It's like, but they hang around with Nia. So Nia and them, but Nia wasn't there. But Nia and them did this and that when they went, no, them Nia's friends. But I'm associated with them. So if they did it, it was automatically assumed that I did it. I have a business, so it's the same thing at my salon. There are certain things that can't happen here. Because you know what happened? Even if the stylist behind me, was doing and talking about it, at Nia's shop, they said such and such, but Nia didn't say it. But at her shop, it happened. So there are certain things that you can't even allow. And so again, don't let nothing over there live. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. So in our lives, some things, you know, you can't. Some people you can't drag along with you. Where I'm going, everybody ain't going right now. You know, some cities, people were allowed to live. They tread on through and keep on going, and they might get it. That's just like with our family. You know, some of us, we get into these, we get into some real hard arguments sometimes. And I've come to a place now that I'm in the truth. I just don't even, there's certain conversations I won't even have with certain people. Have you read the Bible? Well, have you read it? Okay, we're not arguing. I'm not arguing, and I'm not debating with you, because it's going to go somewhere I don't want it to go, and you're going to bring a charge against me. You're going to bring a charge against me for my response, because you're looking for something, but you don't want to look in the words, you want to look in me. And everything that you're looking for is right here. So until you've read it and you studying it, and you want to come, and the position of a student is humble, we can both come together. But when you come in and you want to talk at me with what you see, but you don't have no understanding, we're not going to do it. And so that's what has to happen too. A lot of times in our walk, we have to disassociate, because it gets on you. So y'all know what he's doing. He know. So that was verses 1 through 9. So at verse 10, we see, and all that he did to the two, he said what they did to the kings, and then they made a league with them. They took their food and they ate with them. He broke bread with the enemy. Like, he took their victuals from their very long journey. Think about, okay, what just happened in the beginning? What was on the food? And the wine was old.
Yeah, the old wine skin.
It was disgusting.
Right. What just happened? But I mean, bamboozle. I'm gonna break bread. It has to at least be appealing. Like, what just happened? I was confused for a minute, like reading that. I'm like, it didn't say they had new bread. So it said, this is our bread. We took high, and for our provisions from our household, we came forth to go unto you. Now it's dry, and it's moldy. Okay, so your old bread, you coming with old bread and old wine, and you asking for a covenant with me. And I know better, because I know, like, just a chapter before, we just got done reading the Torah and all the words, and it's being told not to turn from the left or the right, and even it says right here, it says, and the officers and the priests and the elders all read it. So the princes are, when you think about rank, you have the president, who's the chief of command. So we'll say, okay, Yahoshua was the president, he's chief of command right now. Then you have the vice president. Then you have the other people in office, cabinets, and all this stuff. So everybody is briefed. You know what to do. What the heck you eating moldy bread for, making covenants for, when we know that we ain't supposed to make no covenants with people in these lands and know where we going?
And we never ate any moldy bread.
And we don't eat molded bread. We eat manna. Do you ever do that though? Like, how did I end up here? Like, what just happened? Like, I'm here. I know better. And how did it happen like that? Like, before you know it. So they came playing on the emotions. Oh, you know, we heard. We were scared. And we came far, far away. And we heard about your Yah, your Elohim. And so we was going, we coming to make peace. And so you're like, oh, okay, yeah, they know Yah. Again, like I said, oh yeah, they got tassels, and he got a beard, or she cool, and she talk about the same thing I talk about, like the same stuff I like, and then you let them in your house, and certain stuff get out, certain conversations that happen there that were supposed to be in confidence happen, and you don't let the enemy in without counsel, because it look okay, but Satan again, he knows.
They would say his name like they part of the family.
They say the name like he part of the family. Like no, yeah, like yeah, and you get that. You get that all the time. I always I have girlfriends, and I tell them, oh, so and so was saying this, and so and so was saying. And I told them, I said, let me tell you something. I don't care who it is. I don't need defense. Don't defend me to anybody. Don't defend my character. Don't try to tell them who I am. People that know who I am know what I said and what I did. Because in you defending me, you reveal stuff that they want to know. Because you go to talking too much. So that's what happens. They go to talking and, oh, you look like, well, no, she wouldn't do that because, she said that. You done told them, I didn't want them to know that. I'll tell them myself. I'm good at that if I want you to know. And if I don't, I won't. And so that's the thing. They come with this old stale moldy bread. They act familiar, and then here you go. And so now you got the enemy in your camp. They have the enemy in their camp without counsel. So without counsel from Yah, somebody get 2 Chronicles 20:3, and somebody get James 1:5. Okay.
And Jehoshaphat feared and set himself to seek Yahuwah and proclaim a fast throughout all Judah.
So, the first thing you do when you unsure, because they said, okay, well, who are y'all people? Y'all come from where? The first thing that should have happened was there should have been some prayer going on and some seeking. Like, okay, hold on. Y'all done came from far away. Okay, y'all done told us about these people that where we going. He says, the Hivites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites. People from far away, he didn't say. He didn't say, and the people from far away make a covenant with me. He didn't say that. He said, fight everybody in this land and kill them and rid the sin from the land, so that you and your little ones can inhabit the land. We look at our society today, and you see how upside down stuff really is. I see how, and not saying that crimes don't deserve punishment, but you have young men that'll go for 20 and 30 years to prison, 20 years of their life for selling drugs because their economic state of their community, and this is their way out. They think they're gonna make a way, and they go to jail for 20, 30 years, and then you'll have Trumps and these other men in high offices grabbing girls' private parts or defiling young girls, and you can get out. Usually with drugs though, a person chooses to use a drug, right? Like that's they drug of choice. So they, not to say it's right or wrong. I mean, it's wrong for you. You just as wrong. There's no sin greater than the other, but there are certain sins that leave scars. Right. Now, if you molest a child, you are forever ingrained and messed up that person's mind with rape or whatever it is. But you can go do 2-3 years or get probation and you can walk around. But these people that have done this, I'm just feeding your fix. And I go to jail for 20-30 years, but I've messed up an entire life, and then not only entire life, I can mess up generations. But we have people whose households are like that. It's like, it's generational curses, but it's a secret. Don't be talking about Uncle so. Don't. We had an uncle, and don't nobody sit on Uncle so-and-so lap. Or don't give him no hug or no kiss. But why? I don't want to. I didn't because he was creepy when I was a kid. But, like, what happened? Nobody tells you about the things that have happened to them. But thank the Most High for family, because I had a few aunts that they didn't care who they made mad. They was going to tell it. I'm going to tell it too. I'm the same way. They was going to tell it. No. When I was this age, I had to shoot at him because he pulled me in the barn and tried to da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Don't, the secrets and all that stuff, no. You got to rid those things from your community and from your household. Those people, those things are supposed to go. And so, you're supposed to die. And so that's why you ask for wisdom. You don't know what you letting in. So you don't ate they molded bread. You ate what they how do I want to put that? You didn't bring me your best, and I accepted it, and I'll let you in my camp that I'm supposed to be ridding of defilement. And what should I expect thereafter? So we do that too. We confused after somebody going like Maya Angelou. So when a person show you who they are, you believe it. You confused now? They came with molded bread. What did you think? Like, you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear? What you was gonna do? They started out foul. So you let them in. So, does somebody have James 1:5?
If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of Yahuwah, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraid it not, and it shall be given him.
Okay. So at that moment when you confused, what far away? You know, this whole thing where just what I say you believe, and a lot of us have grown up that way, especially in the Word. And I've got kicked off committees at church for asking questions. I'm like, you ruffling feathers. I want to know. Investigate. Okay, I'm not going to just say, okay. You don't buy a house that way. Okay, I want the termite inspection. I want the foundation check. I want to see if there's roof leaks in the roof. I want this carpet cleaned before I buy this house. We are more picky about going to restaurants. I was like, I have some friends like, y'all are so bougie, though. Y'all get on my nerves. Can I have a cup of hot water so I can stick the fork in it with the to clean the fork? This has a spot on it. But you eat. Oh my goodness, drives me crazy. I got a friend. I said, gee, I'm gonna eat ribs. I said, you go right ahead. I said, you're starting to look real disgusted, like sitting in front of me. She was like, what? What? It just is. I was like, you eating roaches. These roaches is good. And then they get mad. Those kind of things. Because she does it to irk me. So we'll go eat. I'm going to order that. I know you don't eat. I'm going to order the ribs. Eat the ribs. You don't want that? I said, don't put your fork on my plate. Don't touch my napkin. Stay on that side. But she'll tell somebody, she's like, oh, my girl, she can make the best clean gumbo, girl. I mean, you don't even know it don't have crab shrimp. Like, I gotta have my shrimp. I was like, it's like, And I told her, I was like, if I was a man, I wouldn't kiss you. I wouldn't. It's like certain things when you start thinking about the things people come with. I wouldn't eat molded bread. I'm not eating. If it got mold on it, I would cry. I'll pick it off and put it in the toaster. It had mold right here. Then I toast it and I still see the hole. I'm just not eating. You know, we more picky about certain things we do, and then the things that really like our spiritual life, we okay and blasé with it. I look okay, I ain't gonna pray, you know. And prayer. What are we supposed to pray and then wait for? He just said pray and then he'll do what? Pray and then he'll give you the answer. You don't just pray and say, okay, I prayed, now I'm going to go do it. They didn't even pray though. They just ate the bread. Yeah. Pray and told me what to do. No. If it's still unsettled in your heart, you don't do it. You don't do it. And people say, well, how do I know if Yah is saying something to me? Because it's in his word. And it lines up with the word. And he's not going to tell you to do anything contrary to the word. And he speaks to us in 3 ways. He speaks to us through his word. He'll send somebody that knows the word to talk to you in the word. And then when they come to you with the word, guess what you're supposed to have? Your book. Your word. Because the word, iron sharpens iron. So we're going to measure it up with the word. So I'm not going to just say, oh, I got my answer because I just feel, because my feelings change, because I'm so ignorant in the mornings, I don't like nobody. I don't want nobody to talk. I was fussing at the kids this morning. I was like, y'all too loud. You want to get put out? Get put out the tent. Get put out. You're laughing too loud. All right, laugh again. I was mean this morning. I'm serious. And then after they go get dressed, come here, give me a hug. I love you. Then my daughter's like, what do you want me to do with this shirt? I was like, what do you mean? What do you want me to do with this shirt? I mean, what do you want? And said it to me like that. I said, do you want me to punch you in the face? It's like, no. Then she come back and then she was, where's a bowl? I said, give me a hug. I was like, so our feelings change from minute to minute. You know what I mean? So how we felt is not an answer either. It has to be solidified with the word, with the word, with the word. Like lately I've been studying and praying and teaching and all kinds of stuff. And usually when I worship, I have a feeling. Sometimes I'll cry, or sometimes I don't feel like nothing lately. It's just, I'm like, am I a believer? Are my prayers, are they making it past the clouds? Like, what's happening? Like, it's just, it's your feeling. But I'm being obedient. I'm like, am I being obedient? I go back and check myself. Yep, doing this, and this. I'm keeping Sukkot. This year is the first year I've taken off all week. I'm like, nope, I'm being obedient. I'm walking. And I think sometimes Yah just says, okay, you know what? You got it all. Now just do it. Just trust me and do it. I ain't going nowhere. I'm watching. He's watching. You got it. You got it. And so these men here, you have it. You have it. Y'all got all. Especially if y'all was able to go through the land, because after the last 40 years they didn't get to make it. So you made it in. You made it this far. You got it. Just keep obeying, and don't not seek wisdom and counsel. So without counsel, they let the enemy in their camp. And because of who Yah is, and because of our yea is supposed to be yea and our nay is supposed to be nay, and we ain't supposed to lie. They do. New Torah, 10 Commandments. Don't lie. Don't deal falsely with one another. Don't murder each other. Because now you done made a covenant. Now they your people. Now they people that ain't your people. Now I can't kill you because you can't. He couldn't. So they knew they couldn't do anything. And then, but what it caused, when you look in there, and the rest of it caused the rest of the community to do what? When the leadership didn't follow protocol. What the rest of the congregation do? They started murmuring. Because if you got some say they the princes of the congregation, they murmured against the princes, so you murmured against the leadership because you weren't walking circumspect, because you ate the moldy bread, because you made a covenant with these people. Now they living amongst us and our children. You still got people who wanted to kill them. You see that. It says the rest of Israel was like, hey, Yahoshua had to go to them like, okay, y'all can't kill them because we done made a covenant with them. But you got people now like, no, they supposed to go though. Ain't that what you said? And so then when the leadership falls, because what happens in leadership, it just kind of, the rest of it trickles out into the rest of the community. I had to tell the grandbabies the other day, and I was like, because, Jade, if anybody knows Jade, she's a sweet pie. But everybody's her friend, and she want to share. And I mean, I love, if it's enough, we don't share. But we have the meals are in here, but it was something in there she wanted. So she go in there and she get it, and then here come the other kids, they right behind her, she passing out. So I thought about it, I was like, gee, I said, you can't go in there. So we got our snacks in our tent. So if you want to give them your snacks, go down to the tent and give them your snacks, and then when time you want snacks, you can give everybody your snacks because we have something for everybody. But at a point in time, I said, but we are the ambassadors of Sukkot. We got to act right. We got to listen. You got to do what you're told to do so that everybody else will follow suit. Because if you don't do what you're told to do, then the other kids don't think they have to do what you're told to do because you're Maury's daughter, Jehovah's daughter, and you don't listen, so they don't have to. I said, so you have to, and I know it's hard, but when you're in a position in your household, you are leadership. I used to tell the kids all the time, well, you let so-and-so drive, or you, oh, they had a car at 16. Yeah, she has a car at 16 because she go to school like she's supposed to. I go up to the school, she ain't gone. I can buy you a car, you gone. So you don't have a car. She goes to school. She goes. She not around the corner. I mean, leaving work, acting up. And then when it's basketball practice, she's at basketball practice. She not at Victor house, or she ain't where she ain't supposed to be. And then when she played basketball, worked, and kept her grades right. She did, yeah. I said, fine. I said, quit working. You don't have to work. You do sports and do school. I'll pay for your gas. And then that summer, though, when she got her little summer job, I was like, no, insurance. You're going to pay the insurance because you're not going to school right now. But, yeah, so the kids, the same thing. They want to do what the other person's done. But the requirement was the grades was good. She didn't not go to school. Get a phone call. One of the principals was my friend. We graduated from high school. Hey, yeah, your daughter, she walking off campus again. She's walking down the street to the, what? And I'm like, why are you going that way? I was going to the store. No. Yeah. And get back to school. So I didn't have those problems. So you don't get the same benefits as this person. You know who I'm talking about. You don't get the benefits as this person because you don't do what you're supposed to do. She led by example, so that's why you don't have a car. That's why you can't have friends over because y'all do stuff y'all ain't supposed to do. When I tell her at this time people gone, they gone. I wake up and somebody's standing at the window still. This is my other daughter. I'm like, I can't go to sleep at home. No. So they will follow your lead. And I said, she was a good example, but she was the other one determined. She used to tell her all the time, Holder, you kiss mom's butt. And I said, no, I know how not to get beat. I think you like to get beat. I don't want her putting her hands on me. You like it. And so, yeah, she's still that same way right now. Love her to death, but yes. So we take another look at something. They were afraid, but they were unrepentant. Why would you, I'm scared of this, I'm scared. Why are you afraid? Most of the time, why are you afraid? You have not been obedient. Why do I have to be afraid if I've been obedient? So just that very fact of afraid could have been like, I pick everything apart. So I'd be like, she say hi. What's she smiling at? They'd be like, she's nice. I'm like, oh, okay, but why? Who is her friends? Who is her? This is not in the community. This is outside of the community. I'm like, what's she smiling at? Let me see who her friends are. And I started looking through a friends list. I'm like, why does she want to be my friend on social media? I'm like, oh, she knows this person, and I didn't let this person be my friend. Nope. So investigation. What you afraid of? If you heard about this, and that, why you here? If you was lined up with what we have going on here, you wouldn't have to hear no rumor or secondhand about what he did because you would be with us, right? So we know that they were afraid because they had been being disobedient. And so instead of the heart change, they wanted to appease. So instead of changing the heart, they wanted to appease the sons of Israel. So have that instance as well. You have people who just want to appease you for a little while, sink you back into, anybody seen Get Out? The sunken place, the portal. Sink you back in, suck you back in, and then you stuck again for another season of junk. Like, no, you appeasing, ain't no heart change. Because Where's that scripture at? It says, you know who the children of Yah are. Look at 1 John 3:10. So how we know who the children of Yah are. Before we go making covenants and stuff. You got it? You want to read it? Read it loud. Go ahead.
In this the children of God are manifest, and the children of the devil. Whosoever doeth not righteousness is not of God, neither he that loveth not his brother.
Okay. Walking in disobedience, have no regard one for another. We know those aren't the children of Yah. Not obeying the scripture, not long enough to, not just long enough for me to be nice to you, or get what you want, but not obeying it. Like, you got to test the character and the spirit of the person, of the thing coming. Oh, that's what you want to read? No. Oh, you're looking for, okay. Oh, no, it's Matthew, Mark, John, then right before Revelations, it's like John 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. I know I get all mixed up, especially now that I've gotten the Hebrew Bible with all the correct names. I'm trying to learn the names again and in the order. And so I'll be going back to the index. I'm like, okay, this one's here. That brings us to our next point, and we look at verse 22, 22 through 27. We're back at Joshua. Yes. How sin will make you a slave. Sin will make you a slave. This ain't the scripture, this is something, just a side note. Satan knows your name, just remember that. But he'll call you by your sin. And Yah knows your sin, but he'll call you by your name. But Satan knows your sin. And he gonna always come at you with your sin. Your liar, or that thing. Just that thing. That thing that can pull you back in. That thing, like a look, or we're talking all women, so certain look, the bling, the look, the smell, the nostalgic, that thing, those reminders. Whatever your thing is, your thing. We all have it. And it'll make you a slave. You will find yourself on the road of repetition because of that thing. I first admit, I've done it for a long time. I've had a long enrolled, what do you call it? I've been enrolled at the School of Hard Knocks because of that thing. Because that thing don't change. It just appeases. But it still come with the moldy bread. But I don't know how they can make it taste good. Still got the same old game, same old line, but it just works sometimes. That old wine, that old wine. It don't even, it's starting to get sour. You don't even get but your palate will it'll adjust. And so that's why we gotta go on a cleanse. Every 90 days we do a cleanse. I do a cleanse. I do a raw cleanse where we and it's hard the first 3 days. You got the chills, your nose start running. You're like, dang, okay, I'm just gonna eat. I'm just gonna eat something. And you have to do it with an accountability partner. You always have to have somebody that's accountable. And I have a cousin, and I tell her all the time we did everything together. And I say everything, we did a lot of good and bad. But one time I remember telling her, I don't care what I say, tell me no. Tell me no. I don't care if I get mad. I don't care if tell me put you out the car. Tell me no. She's like, okay. But you have that person who will tell you, yo, no. Or you acting like this. You have to have, we should never, and we do it though. We don't want to hear the truth. We go to people who gonna tell us what we want to hear. I don't want no friends like that. I don't want friends like that. I want somebody to tell you, I want it direct, live and direct. I tell my physician that all the time. You be beating her. I said, okay, let me tell you. I am very straightforward to the. If it's bad, tell me it's bad. If I need to do this, tell me it's this. I said, don't beat around the bush, play. It starts to turn into want. I ain't gonna listen to nothing. So just say what it is first. And I did it. The initial shock will shake me up and I'll work with the rest of it. So we want friends like that. And we do everything in love. You should do it in love. You should, you tell the truth in love. People might not want to hear the truth, but you need that truth sometimes. Sometimes you need that sting, shock you back into reality. You need people that are accountable. You need accountability. You need somebody that's going to tell you, hey, no. That thing ain't the thing. I have a friend all the time. I tell her, it's like, we growing up, and we've done a lot of things young. I said, but you get too old to keep going over the same thing, dealing with the same stuff. So sometimes when she called me like, girl, save your dime. Your blues ain't like mine today. I got A, B, and C going on, and you still talking about what this man did. You've been dealing with this man for the last 2 years. You keep doing the same thing. I was like, today, I was sharing with some of the women yesterday. Yesterday, I went home. I had to go down to take my baby to school because she's testing. So grades were due and all of her homework. I had her making sure she got all her work and stuff in. I looked on the portal for the school. It's like, oh no, you're taking everything in and down. And then she plays flag football, so she wanted to play. And everybody watching her play, she ain't playing with no girls. Well, yeah, today she might be, but you find her. If you looking for Carly, she on the bike with the boys. She playing basketball, football, that thing. And so I came down, and my son had called me the other night, and he's like, oh, where you at? You still up? I said, yeah, I'm up. I said, you gonna coach? I'm gonna try to make it. And he's like, but he said, you not home? I said, no. He said, okay, well, I said, why? He's like, oh, because I might stay at your house tonight. I said, why are you staying where you been staying? Oh, I don't want to stay there tonight. I said, oh, okay. Not thinking nothing about it, so I drive home. Left here yesterday about 4 o'clock. And I get home, walk in the house, I see somebody laying on the couch. And I was like, this thing, I was like, it's a girl, it's 2 kids. So I'm like, okay, he said, could he spend the night? I'm like, maybe he brought somebody over, but he know he don't bring girls over to my house. So then I walk, and I go open the bedroom door. He ain't in there. Open my bed, he ain't there. I went in my room for a minute, I laid down, I sat there and I called my other daughter, because Holder wasn't answering her phone. I said, you want to know something? I said, I just walked in the house, and I said, it's a lady laying on my couch with 2 kids. And I don't know where they came from. I said, I seen this car when I pulled up with all the stuff in it and stuff. And I said, she said, Mama, wait a minute. She said, you know what? She said, true, you never used drugs when you were pregnant with him. I said, you so scared. Just tell the truth. We old now, we can deal with it. I said, I ain't never used no drugs. You crazy. She said, he just crazy. She said, no, but he's not as crazy as you are. She said, how you gonna get in your bed with somebody laying on your couch? I said, because it just had to all sink in. So I go back and I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to figure out what happened. This is the initial shock. Like, okay, so who are you and what you doing on my bed? I'm on my couch. And so it was a long story. That's another thing. But it's just, I was like, oh, okay. And so that's what they always tell me, you let the boys get away with too much. And it's like, you just get tired after a while. But I was like, what could I have done? I wasn't home. I was like, I'm going to whoop him from here, he grown. But yeah, that kind of thing. You played me. He said, well, where you at? Where you at? Where you at? I'm not. Oh, yeah, he did play. Yeah, he played me. He really played me. I done went all off on a tangent. But that was not like, and so that was me telling her, I be having bigger fish to fry. Like, that thing you keep dealing with, I can't deal with that. I just came home with a stranger on my couch. and her kids. But, and it was a heart-wrenching situation. The heartstrings of my heart was pulled, and it kind of ties into this whole situation because I don't know you. I'm not home, and I could let you stay here because you are in a bad situation, but I don't know you. I can't just let you, you know, your family, you can't stay at home with your family, you can't stay with your uncle, you can't stay with this person. I have a daughter I have to protect that lives at home. I can't just invite certain things into my home. So as much as I would love to let you in this, and 2-week-old baby and your 2-year-old stay here while I'm not here, because I don't want you to sleep in your car because the windows were broken. I can't. So, you know, you have to go. And so that kind of thing. So I be like, girl, I can't listen to your drama. You ain't talking about what I'm talking about. I can't do it. So we look at the last part also, sin will make you a slave. You know that Yah told us to not allow no accursed things among us. Don't allow them. No accursed things. And there are things that he called accursed. And you see here where Yahoshua told them, he said he called to them in 22, and he asked them, why did they beguile them? And they said, you said we were from far away, and when you dwell among us. Now therefore you are accursed. And there shall be none of you shall be free from being bondmen and hewers of wood and drawers of water for the house of my Elohim. And they answered, I'm on 24 now. And they answered Yahoshua and said, because it is certainly told your servants how Yah your Elohim commanded his servant Moshe to give you all the land and to destroy all the inhabitants of the land from before you. Therefore we are sore afraid for our lives because of you and have done this. And now behold, we are in your hand, and it seems good and right unto you to do unto us. And so did he unto them, and delivered them out of the hand of the children of Israel, because I said they wanted to kill him, right? He said, and they slew them not, because they're like, I don't care what y'all done said, we can't let them live. So he delivered them after their sin, their lifestyle. They tricked them. They beguiled, and you just see, if you just watch your ancestors like we talked about yesterday, everything is observational. You can't say like, I remember when my grandmother passed away, my little sister said, oh, I hate Adam and Eve. I hate Eve because she ate the apple, and if she didn't eat the apple, my grandma would be dead. I remember that like it was yesterday. I was 12 when my grandmother passed away, so she's 5 years younger than me. So just that whole thing is like, you think about what you wouldn't have done, but you observe your ancestors, because this stuff is in this book because it is human nature. We have 5 senses, right? That's how the enemy beats us and uses against us all the time. What are our 5 senses?
Sight, smell, taste, hearing,
and touch. Never will be no new tricks. He never uses a new trick. I know somebody that don't never have a new line, but they always do the same thing, and it has worked for a long time, but they never have a new line. What that got to do with me? Because the whole situation just looks just like you. It has you written all over. That's what it has to do with you. But the line never changes. The behavior never changes. But use the same tactics: taste, touch, smell, hearing, and touch, seeing. It is the same thing. He never ever uses anything new. So their sin made them slaves. So all the days of their life they had to be hewers of wood, and I'm pretty sure they were good at being hewers of wood and drawing water because they was making idols. So where the word is silent, I'm silent for now. But when you go back and you start looking into how we ended up here in the land of captivity, spewed out, what you think happened? If I'm a hewer of wood and my heart hasn't changed towards your Elohim, what am I going to teach my children in my house, in my private time? How to hew wood. And then you got artists, and you have people that are, my gift, and some of us have gifts. Some of us are artists. Some of us we sing, we do whatever. Your gift, you have to measure that gift up and line it up with Torah too. Because you know how to do certain things, but then you'll end up doing it for vainglory or something that'll cause you to be a slave to your sin, and it's not a sin, it's a gift. But if you use it for the wrong thing in your heart, the intent can be sin, and then you'll end up a slave, bound by something that has enticed you. And so they ended up, their hearts hadn't changed, but because they tricked the men into making a covenant with them, now you have the enemy in the camp. And now eventually, as we go on, when you continue in your reading, you'll see that they enticed us to fall back into idolatry, fall back into worship. Oh, we're gonna start worshiping in the grove and in the tree. Oh, we got somebody that make wood. Come on, let's get him and take him out here with us. He gonna make the idol. Who was it? The hewers of wood, drawers of the water. These people that know how to do this stuff, they in your congregation, because they ain't let some stuff go. And then when you look at it again, which brings us to the end, these people that came to them were the chiefs and the generals and the kings. We heard what you did to the kings, so us kings and got together, and because our hearts were high and lofty, and we weren't obedient, and we wasn't changing our heart, what did they end up being for the children of Israel? They're slaves. So the chiefs become slaves. Somebody get Matthew 19:30 and in Psalm 72:11.
I got 19.
Okay, go ahead.
But many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first.
Mm-hmm.
72:11.
Ye all kings, yea, all kings shall fall down before him, all nations shall serve him.
Mm-hmm. And then Revelation 7:1-17. So they didn't want to. They didn't want to obey in the beginning, but their sin caused them to end up being slaves. So they traded in their position as kings to have a discern the people. And so when we look at ourselves, we've traded our sin caused us to trade positions as being queens, kings, dignitaries, followers of Torah, to worshiping idols, because some of us have come out of Catholicism. But even if you've been doing the whole Catholic Church thing, or even Christianity, you were still worshiping idols, the wrong days, all these things. So our sin put us in a position of becoming servants. They brought us here, and don't think these people didn't read this book that oppressed us. King James, he rewrote it, right? You don't think they read it? They had, just like the scribes and the Pharisees and all those things, they had people that scribed and that orators that told them what this said. Okay, so we ain't gonna let them read this, but we gonna tell them this: be a good servant, be a good slave, be a bondman. But you didn't. And so it tells them. Even we know. Did they pluck out their eyes when they became their servants? No, they were. When you came into the camp, everybody gets treated the same. You follow the law, you fall under the law. That's why this whole thing with, to build the borders and tell the aliens to go home and then don't let them over. How you gonna keep somebody out of the land? If I come into your land and I obey your law, I'm your people. When I don't obey, then I go. This whole thing. So you look at how the enemy has used our very word to trick us, because guess what? We don't know it. You can't trick me with something I know. When I know it, you can't trick me, because I'm going to bring it, we're going to measure it up. Okay, let's see where this work at and how this go. But so when they became slaves, what did they do? They worked. And then they went home and they ate and they lived and they were fine. So, but our sin caused us to be ejected out of the land, and now we're upside down. So as we're coming back into Torah, just remember, as we walk circumspect, and as we keep in the feast days, read Revelation 7:1-17, because even the one who doesn't want to is going to have to bow. Even the ones who don't want to come and keep Feast of Tabernacles, think you crazy and all that stuff, in the end they're going to have to come and then get out. They can't stay in. They can't stay in the camp. I want to be able to still fellowship with my brothers and sisters. I don't want to have to be able to bring my gift to tabernacle and then get out. No, I want to obey right the first time. Like people, okay, I'm gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it no more. You already did it. So that having that just think about that final judgment. Having that final judgment called against you, where there is no correction. Right now, we still on the side where you can make a correction, but it's going to come a time where we're going to be on the final side of judgment. There will be no corrections made. You won't be able to say, okay, now I believe they Hebrews because I'm going to do it now. Too late. So we are light. We are observational evidence. And so as we're doing it, it's not teasing people. I can't go out there. Oh, it's bugs. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. We are a light. We are the salt of the earth. People are in our families. My husband came out here yesterday, and it's a whole nother violin story I ain't gonna talk about. But he came out, and I just watched him because I know him. He been out here crazy. Here you go with this new stuff. Oh, now you're a vegetarian. Oh my God. Okay. I said, why does everything what I do offend you?
Right.
But you're offended because when I come into the knowledge of something, or when I realize something, when the truth is presented to me, I'm faced with a choice. So your heart is hard. I'm not gonna keep arguing with you about how crazy I've been with you 14 years. You know really how crazy I am. This is mild when you talk about just camping. I'm crazy camping. Okay, good. But if that's the whole eating vegetables, I'm crazy. Okay. But you are a testimony. You're a witness. So what we're doing is witnessing to everyone else. And me and Holder was laughing, but the campsite lady, every day she's coming and she's bringing gifts to the kids. And I was like, wow, that is so symbolic. Like, she don't know what it is we're doing, but just for us to see it. Usually when we do keep feast days on the land, or during feast days out at Hulda and Maury's house, it always rains. Like during the spring feast, it always does. And then right before, like last Sukkot when we were there, remember it rained. And we talk about, wow, he said you bring a latter rain. During harvest time, you need that latter rain to pull the stuff up out the ground, what you've been growing. And so this year we've been witnessing people that don't even know what it is we're doing, sending gifts. My uncle, oh yeah, you want them Hebrews, huh? All right, Nisi, what you need? Need something? You need something? I was like, I said, do I need something? I'm like, no. I said, yeah, I need a few dollars. He came by the shop before I left. He's like, here, you go a few dollars to get what you want. So it's showing me that what I'm doing is right. And it's just those little things, like what he said would happen. Read Revelation 7, 1 through 17. Somebody. Oh, okay, sorry.
And after this I saw four messengers standing at the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another messenger coming up from the rising of the sun, holding the seal of the living Elohim. And he cried with a loud voice to four messengers, to whom it was given to harm the earth and the sea, saying, do not harm the earth, nor the sea, nor the trees, until we have sealed the servants of our Elohim upon their foreheads. And I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 sealed out of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Of the tribes of Yahudah, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Reuben, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Gad, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Asher, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Naphtali, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Manasseh, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Shimon, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Levi, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Issachar, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Zebulun, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Joseph, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Benjamin, 12,000 were sealed. After this I looked and I saw a great crowd, which no one was able to count, out of all the nations and tribes and peoples and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, dressed in white robes and palm branches in their hands, and crying out with a loud voice, saying, deliverance belongs to our living creatures and fell on their faces before the throne and worshiped Elohim, saying, Amen. The blessing and the esteem and the wisdom and the thanksgiving and the respect and the power and the might to our Elohim forever and ever. Amen. And one of the elders responded, saying to me, who are these dressed in white robes? And where did they come from? And I said to him, Master, you know. And he said to me, these are those coming out of the great distress, having washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Because of this, they are before the throne of Elohim and serve him day and night in his dwelling place. And he who sits on the throne shall spread his tent over them. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more. Neither shall the sun strike them, nor any heat, because the Lamb who is in the midst of the throne shall shepherd them and lead them to fountains of water and life. And Elohim shall wipe away every tear.
So as we tabernacle and as we go through persecution and as people think we're crazy and as we don't fall into the deception, don't eat the molded bread, don't drink the old wine, keep coming, keep doing, keep obeying, stay circumspect, stay praying, find you accountability partners, and stay in this word. Get this word in you. It's going to come a time when we're not going to have this. You know what I mean? I try to keep copies of books and stuff because we're getting so used to our electronic devices. When my phone gone, when they glitch us out, turn the towers off, you can be able to pull up stuff. Get the word in you. It ain't just for us to know it. We all need to know it. The book of Eli, you guys seen that? They fighting for this book. Ain't nary word in the book because it's in Braille. But he had that word in his heart. And so that's what we got to do. Get this word in our heart. Don't make no leagues and no covenants with the enemy. And don't be afraid. And don't be allowing cursed things to remain among you. Ask Yah to search your heart. And bring those things to a head and then deal with them. Shalom. Thank you, ladies. Do you have any questions?
I want to address one of your questions.
Okay.
Your question was how did we get here? How did we get here? And when I look back, and I'm sure that many of us here, when I look back at some of the things that I might be going through now, I go back and say, okay, where did this start?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what I wrote as a note was possibility thinking. What were they thinking? So they may not have been going by Torah, but they were probably thinking, oh, this would be a better thing, or maybe we can make them do this, and maybe we can do that. We as women have a tendency to feel that in our relationship or possibility relationship, we try to see the good and overlook the things that do not line up with what agrees with our spirit. That's all I want to say.
Amen. Amen. That is so the truth. It is. Anybody else? We all have a point of arrival. Always in teaching us, I always tell my girls when they're doing a haircut, I'm like, okay, they're like, I can't understand how on this side this haircut looked like this. I said, what was your point of reference? Where'd you start? Well, I just can't. Where did you start at? Did you have a starting guide? Where'd you start? You're supposed to start somewhere. And so I go and I'll make a guide. And they're like, well, how'd you get it even? Because I followed my guide all the way back to the point of reference. And now where I pick it up at is even everywhere, because guess what? I lined it up with my point of reference. That's how the word is. That's how we are. We do. My aunt always says, you got to see, you have to do an inventory of how you arrive somewhere. I forget stuff all the time lately, and I'm like, I walk in, I'm like, I did this, and that. I was like, what did I walk in here to get? Okay, I'm going to go back where I got the thought at, and then walk back in here, and then I remember. And that's what we have to do. We have to remember what brought us to this point. And then stop trying to, like you say, make light of the situation. Like, okay, well, You can't make pretty. You can't make ugly pretty. You can't make it smell good if it stinks. It just is what it is. We always say, I say it about people now. Being older, we say, Bahima. In it is what it is. That's what's in it. You can't make what's in a person. You can't make something different come out. In it is what it is. What I put in, it's coming out. That's just what's going to happen. That's observational evidence. Anybody else? Any encouragement they got? Any questions? Anything? If not, oh good. Well, I am glad you ladies are having a good time. I think it's probably lunchtime, so we're going to disperse or fellowship. No lunchtime? Oh, get a snack and come back? Oh yeah, we're going to start service. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, we just Shabbat. That's the all-day thing. We Shabbat and Shaloming today. It is what it is. So, ladies, thank you for your time. Thank you.